Hello again. I'm back today to talk about one more Apple Arcade release, which is PowerWash Simulator. Anyway, this video I'm joined by Mac Pro Tips, who played in multiplayer with me for the game, which was really fun. So you're going to be seeing him a lot in the background of the video. So yeah, let's see how the game runs across iPhone, iPad, Apple TV, and Mac. First, let's see how the game goes on iPhone and iPad. Here I'm testing the iPhone 17 Pro Max and the iPad mini with a 17 Pro. One thing I will say off the bat is that while the game has full controller support, and it's awesome that it includes rumble vibration, which I was not expecting, I still strongly encourage you to try the game with the touch controls for this one. It actually makes cleaning much quicker, especially when using the precision aim mode. I don't know what it's really called. Yeah. I also found that sometimes the touch UI doesn't fully disappear when using a controller, so hopefully the dev can look into that. Anyway, on my iPhone 17 Pro Max, it's cool to see a 120 FPS option. You can also enable up to very high graphics. All modes use FXAA for anti-aliasing, and very high looks to increase the internal resolution up to possibly native. Playing at 120 FPS for this game is great, but keep in mind that on this phone it gets very hot very quickly at very high graphics. The metal HUD shows the device jumping to a thermal state of serious almost immediately, which makes a locked 120 FPS impossible. So for longer sessions, I found it was perfectly fine to stick it to 60 FPS, which keeps the thermal state at fair. On my iPad mini with A17 Pro, there are some scenes where the FPS drops below 60 at very high graphics, especially in this very early mission where you're cleaning the backyard of this place. Thankfully, I believe the game is very forgiving at lower frame rates, so for me it was pretty playable. If I set the graphics too high, the game locks to 60 with no issues. Shadow quality is slightly reduced and the internal resolution is a bit lower and anti-aliasing is more noticeable, but visually it still looks fine. One thing I hope the dev considers is adding mouse and keyboard support to the game. This would be really awesome, as some of the levels are, objectively speaking, easier to play with a mouse and keyboard. PowerWash Simulator is available on Apple TV all the way back to the 2015 HD model. Although it's great that the game supports so many generations, keep in mind that the experience varies quite a bit depending on the hardware. I would say the older HD and first gen 4K models would likely struggle with this game, because even the latest Apple TV 4K with the A15 chip can show performance issues in heavier locations. It's not surprising since this device is now 3 years old, and it also has a fairly tight memory budget compared to iPhone and iPad. In fact, the Metal HUD usually reports under 1 gig of available RAM on this model, though thankfully I didn't encounter any crashes during testing, but the early Apple TV models have even less than 4 gig of RAM, so I don't hold out much success for those. While the HUD shows the native 4K output, the internal rendering resolution tops out at 1080p when using the very high graphics preset. This is totally fine given the GPU and memory constraints. However, it can struggle to hold 60 FPS in a lot of areas at high and very high graphics. For that reason, I recommend enabling a 30 FPS cap if you want the best visual experience, as it stabilizes performance and lets you enjoy higher visual settings. If you prefer 60 FPS or close to it, medium graphics is available, though do expect occasional dips depending on the environment. Like I said in my last video, it's really great to see another high quality premium game like this on Apple TV, as it's very rare. And to be honest, this port is kind of the whole reason I made this video, because I want to show some more Apple TV games, because it's fun. I'm very happy to see that, unlike Naruto, the Mac port of PowerWash Simulator is the full PC version, complete with all the in-game graphical options you'd expect. You get manual resolution control, target FPS, VSync, anti-aliasing options, texture quality settings, shadow settings, and so forth. For this video, I'm playing the game on an M4 Mac Mini with 16 gig of RAM. Performance on this machine is solid, and 4K gameplay is totally achievable. PowerWash Simulator really isn't the most demanding game on the planet, but it can, in some ways, push hardware a bit in scenes that have a lot of maybe foliage or so forth. For example, in this mission, clean the bungalow and the first big level, I forgot what it's called. The frame rate can dip slightly if you opt for 4K, although it's never enough to make the game feel unpleasant or difficult to play. One of my favorite ways to play on this Mac was at 1440p using the high preset with a 120 FPS target. Playing at a high frame rate makes the cleaning experience feel even more satisfying, and the M4 handles it pretty well. Overall, it's a great Mac version, I think, and I hope the developer considers bringing the sequel to Mac in the future as well. Alright guys, so that was PowerWash Simulator on Apple Arcade. Thank you again to Mac Pro Tips for joining me in this video. It was really fun playing multiplayer with him. Yeah, it's a fun game. I don't imagine many people will watch this video, but I wanted to make some videos about these Apple Arcade games because it can be quite rare these days to see high quality games like this on Apple Arcade, like Naruto and Cult of the Lamb and PowerWash. So I wanted to show you guys some of these games, and yeah, that's basically all I have to say. Thanks for watching. Bye.